Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. That might best describe our next adventure. It's been uninhabited for at least 200 years, except for some lighthouse keepers and maybe a handful of squatters. Very little is documented about this 378-acre island in the middle of one of the busiest Great Lakes shipping channels. Millions pass within a couple hundred yards each year. It has one of the most photographed lighthouses in the Great Lakes. It's seen naval battles, holds the bodies of epidemic victims, and has been in the movies. But just a few hundred visit each year. Round Island is kind of forgotten in plain view. My friend Cupcake and I take a trip to the island to check it out. I'm Chuck, the channel's Restless Viking. Here's our adventure. It's gone by a few names. Miniseus, which means little island, and Misawanagang, I guess, which means middle island. And then most recently, it's Ile Ronde from the French, meaning round island. And it's been in government hands since the Treaty of 1836, when the U.S. government set it aside for farming by the First Nations. And in the 1920s, there was actually a plan for that island to be incorporated in 25 miles of causeways and suspension bridges connecting Sheboygan to St. Ignace. It was an alternate plan instead of the Mackinac Bridge, but it never came to fruition. Instead, we have the 5-mile suspension span of the Mackinac Bridge. I guess crazy engineering won out. One of the busiest straits in the Great Lakes. The past couple years, that has been an island, the Lighthouse, but I see the land, the water's receded enough that you can walk to it from the island, but they just put those large sea rocks there to build it up so that the high water wouldn't take the lighthouse. It was in danger of falling in. So thanks to the Round Island Historic Preservation Society, Round Island Light Preservation Society, I guess. We decided to circle the island by boat and find the sandy cove on the east end. So back when Mackinac Island became a state park, the U.S. government gave the state of Michigan Round Island. And they had some plans with the nice sandy beaches. They were going to put some facilities here and make it part of the state park. Nice place for vacationers to come to, but the plan never came to fruition. And I think it was in the 60s or 70s, the state of Michigan gave it back to the federal government. Now it's under the Hiawatha National Forest as a wilderness area. You kind of get lost in a cheap paradise when sauntering around the rocky beaches of these uninhabited Great Lakes islands. And Cupcake seemed to be getting all island paradisey. Now you have a little bit of an idea why it's called Cupcake.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
I think I'm down in the Pacific Islands, or maybe, I don't know what's in the Pacific Islands. I've never been there.
Probably like the Azores? No, Pacific Islands. Oh, Hawaii?
Yeah, maybe Hawaii.
The Galapagos?
Tahiti.
There you go.
Adventures in Paradise for all you old people that remember that TV show back from the 56, 57 maybe?
No.
James A. Missioners.
So as we made our way around Round Island, see what I did there? Come up on Mackinac Island. See the fort up on the hill. You can dress them up.
Can't take them anywhere.
Well, you can. Just be ready to be a little embarrassed. So Round Island, 380 some acres and 3 miles of shoreline around the island. And it's an alternative view of Mackinac Island. And the accommodations here are way cheaper. So descriptions of the island on the map, there's supposed to be a 80-foot cliff on this side. At least that's what the descriptions, some of the descriptions say. And well, there's your cliff. It's kind of more like a really steep hill. So we're gonna head back to the boat.
these islands out here, especially in Lake Michigan, are just really fun to kind of poke around and just do a lazy day thing. You know, it's pretty out here. Super clear water.
Definitely.
Maybe this way?
Yeah. Before you hit the throttle, make sure you're in the boat there, Skipper.
Well, we could have while we're just idling around.
Duncan Bay, both houses, the Lorianne.
So right about 1814, Captain Arthur Sinclair was dispatched on an expedition to retake Fort Mackinac right over there. The British had taken it in the beginning of the War of 1812. And rumor has it that he kind of snuck in here to the Straits at between Bob Lowe and Round Island. I guess they're called the Beau Blanc Straits. And he was trying to figure out a way to retake the fort, and I guess his naval guns tried to bombard the fort, but apparently the fort had longer range, so they were just putting cannonballs into the gardens of the village, and they weren't really getting to the fort. So apparently they went here to Round Island to the high spot to set up a gun emplacement. Now, I haven't found a lot of documentation about this, but I have found a couple places that reference the fact that a few men went up there to put some artillery batteries up there, as well as to observe the enemy. And Round Island, I don't believe, was wooded back then. It was kind of an open field. They get up there and there's some activity, and the Brits notice it over here, so they dispatch, and I kid you not, this is what they say, a couple hundred canoes, boats, and bateaux to go across this half-mile strait to kick the Americans off the island. And the Americans saw that 200 canoes, 200 to 300 canoes coming, and so they just kind of beat feet back to where they had landed on the island and got out of there. And then apparently the British spent their time picking raspberries because the island was full of raspberries. So, and then in the cholera epidemic of 1832, came up the St. Lawrence Seaway and got into the Great Lakes, and they were pretty afraid of this epidemic. So if you were a ship and you were headed into Mackinac, you hit any dead bodies, you could not dock at Mackinac, so you were told to come across and to bury the dead bodies here on Round Island. So, and I don't know how many, but apparently quite a few bodies were buried there. So, but over there is the Round Island Lighthouse, made famous by the Somewhere in Time video with Christopher Reeves and some chick that kissed there. So whatever.
Yeah, I forgot about that movie. It was a good movie.
Was it? Hang on, Cupcake.
All right, give her hell.
The spit of land that extends northwest of the island was a significant hazard for ships. In 1895, a carpenter from Detroit, Frank Round, started construction of the light after finishing work on the Grand Hotel. The first floor contained the boilers, coal bunker, and pantry. The second and third floors were living area for the keepers and their families. One of the third floor bedrooms was reserved for those rescued from the Round Island Passage.
So this is rebuilt to the period. They got a new piece of steel for it, and they just made it in the winter and brought it back out. I saw it on their Facebook page.
The oil house and privy still exist on site. The light was automated in 1924, but a sole caretaker stayed at the station until 1947. The lighthouse was abandoned when the passage light was built near Mackinac Island Harbor. As is the story of many Great Lakes lighthouses, vandals and pillagers took over until October of 1972.
Oh yeah, during a severe storm, October 1972, southwest corner.
The near destruction of the lighthouse caused local support to well up, and efforts to stabilize and restore the lighthouse picked up momentum.
So yeah, here we are at Round Island, just kind of, we just finished shooting the lighthouse, and now we're requested to take a survey, which is kind of surprising because there's nobody here. So
How often do you get on a remote island and somebody wants to survey you?
So she just came up to you and said, would you like to take a survey?
Yeah, she didn't even say, hey, my name's so-and-so. Just, you're taking a survey. It's very forceful.
Wow, and you're with
The Forest Service.
the Forest Service, and you're doing a recreational use survey?
Yes.
And you're backup?
Yep.
What you got there?
I'm holding some bones. We got a biologist with us.
Oh, really?
We're gonna go see what it belongs to.
Where's the biologist at? Well, there you go. Our survey with the National Forest Service is done. It's Round Island. What do you think, Cupcake?
I think it's kind of a pretty neat spot.
It is,
It really is.
Yeah.
There's a couple boats that just pulled up, but all practical purposes, you got 2 or 3 miles of nobody on the beach,
Yeah, exactly.
which is not uncommon for out on the islands.
Kayak, private boat. You can even rent kayaks to come over here from the someplace in Mackinac Island. So yeah, come out, spend a night or two. Hey, I heard a few of you haven't subscribed yet.
What's with that?
Yeah, so go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the flip side. But till our next adventure, Godspeed.